At 3:17 a.m., a security camera captured something it shouldn't have. A man stepping into complete darkness and never coming back. No scream, no struggle. Just one final frame before the footage cut to black. For 20 years, that frozen image haunted investigators, a silent witness to a disappearance. That would become one of the most disturbing true crime mysteries ever recorded. A dark case file buried under dust, lies, and forgotten evidence until one overlooked detail finally cracked everything open. This is the story of a man who vanished without a trace, and the truth they found 2 decades later. On the surface, the town of Gray Hollow looked like hundreds of others scattered across rural America. Quiet streets, familiar faces, a place where everyone knew your name and secrets were supposed to stay hidden. Nestled between dense forests and an old industrial zone, it felt frozen in time. In October 2001, the town became the last known location of Daniel Harper, a 32-year-old electrical engineer, recently married, described by friends as reliable, kind, and predictable. Daniel lived with his wife, Emily Harper, in a modest 2-story house at the edge of town. He had no criminal record, no known enemies, and no reason, at least on paper, to disappear. His life followed a routine so consistent it could be set by a clock. That routine ended on the night of October 14th. Daniel left his house at 9:43 p.m., wearing a dark jacket, jeans, and boots. He told Emily he needed to check something at the old manufacturing plant where he had once worked, claiming a former coworker had urgently called him. That coworker would later swear they never made the call. The old manufacturing plant sat abandoned for nearly 5 years by then. Its rusted gates chained shut, windows shattered, and warning signs faded by time. Teenagers dared each other to sneak in. Homeless transients occasionally sought shelter there. It was a place steeped in silence and decay. According to traffic cameras, Daniel's car was seen turning toward the industrial road at exactly 10:02 p.m. It was never seen leaving. When Emily woke up the next morning and Daniel wasn't home, she assumed he'd stayed overnight with a friend. By noon, panic set in. His phone went straight to voicemail. His car wasn't in the driveway. His wallet and keys were gone. She contacted the police at 1:16 p.m., officially reporting Daniel Harper missing. What followed would become a textbook case of how early assumptions can destroy an investigation. Police initially treated Daniel's disappearance as voluntary. Adults vanish all the time, they said. Stress, marital issues, work pressure. But Emily insisted something was wrong. Daniel was meticulous. He never missed work. He never disappeared without telling someone. Officers canvassed the neighborhood, spoke to coworkers, and filed the report. But urgency was noticeably absent. Days turned into weeks. Search teams combed the forest surrounding the plant. Cadaver dogs hit on nothing. Divers searched a nearby quarry lake. Nothing surfaced. Daniel's car was finally found 8 days later in the plant's parking lot. Locked, keys missing, with no signs of struggle. Inside, everything looked normal. No blood, no fingerprints out of place, just a thin layer of dust beginning to settle. The case began slipping into the shadows. Behind closed doors, rumors spread fast. Some claimed Daniel had an affair and ran away. Others whispered about gambling debts. Emily, suddenly under suspicion herself, endured invasive questioning, alibi checks, and quiet judgment from neighbors. Her timeline checked out. She was home all night, confirmed by phone records and neighbors. Yet the investigation stalled. Surveillance footage from inside the plant was partially recovered. The tapes were old, corroded, and incomplete. Most cameras showed nothing. One camera, however, captured Daniel entering through a side door at 10:19 p.m. That was the last confirmed sighting. No footage showed him leaving. Detectives labeled it equipment failure. The disappearance slowly became another unresolved true crime story. Filed away, gathering dust, becoming legend rather than investigation. Years passed. Emily moved out of Gray Hollow, unable to escape the weight of unanswered questions. Daniel's parents died without knowing what happened to their son. Online forums speculated endlessly. Amateur sleuths dissected every known detail. The case became a dark case file cited in discussions about missing persons who vanish without a trace. Officially, it remained unsolved. Unofficially, it was considered cold. Until 2019, when a newly formed cold case unit revisited the file as part of a digital archiving project. What they found wasn't new evidence. It was overlooked evidence. A junior analyst, tasked with digitizing old tapes, noticed something strange about the plant's security footage. The timestamp on the final camera clip didn't match the internal system logs. There was a 6-minute discrepancy. At first, it seemed like a technical error. But when matched against external power grid logs, something unsettling emerged. The cameras had not malfunctioned. They had been manually overridden. Someone accessed the system locally at 10:21 p.m. That meant someone else was inside the plant at the same time as Daniel. That discovery reopened everything. Investigators returned to the plant, now even more decayed than before. Using modern forensic technology unavailable in 2001, they conducted a new sweep. In a sealed storage room beneath the main floor, they discovered traces of blood embedded in concrete cracks. DNA testing confirmed it belonged to Daniel Harper. For 20 years, his blood had been hidden under layers of dirt, oil, and neglect. This wasn't a disappearance. It was a murder. The question was who, and why was it hidden so effectively? Attention turned to Daniel's past. His work at the manufacturing plant ended abruptly 6 months before it shut down. Records showed internal disputes, safety violations, whistleblower complaints. Daniel had been involved in reporting illegal waste dumping tied to a third-party contractor. That contractor, it turned out, was owned by a man named Victor Hall, a respected local businessman in 2001. Hall had since moved out of state, built a larger operation, and reinvented his public image. But in the old files, his name appeared repeatedly, ignored at the time due to lack of evidence. Re-interviewing witnesses revealed new cracks. A former security guard recalled seeing a second car near the plant that night, but had dismissed it after being told cameras showed nothing. A coworker admitted, under pressure, that Daniel had feared someone was following him weeks before his disappearance. Phone records revealed a series of burner phone calls in the days leading up to October 14th, all traced years later to accounts connected to Hale's company. The picture sharpened. Daniel hadn't gone to the plant voluntarily to check a fuse. He had been lured. The final breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Victor Hale's brother, dying of cancer, contacted police in 2021. He claimed to have carried guilt for 2 decades. According to his statement, Hale confronted Daniel at the plant over the whistleblower report, demanding silence. The confrontation escalated. Daniel threatened to go public. In a panic, Hal struck him. The blow was fatal. Help was called. Cameras were disabled. The body was removed through a service tunnel leading to the old quarry. Concrete dust and industrial waste concealed the blood. The body, however, was moved farther than anyone ever searched. Excavation at the quarry uncovered skeletal remains buried beneath industrial debris, exactly where described. Dental records confirmed Daniel Harper's identity. After 20 years, the truth emerged from the dark. Victor Hale was arrested, extradited, and charged with murder and conspiracy to conceal a crime. In court, the defense argued time, decay, unreliable memories. The prosecution presented a narrative built on technology, confession, and motive. The jury deliberated for 11 hours. Hale was found guilty. He received a life sentence. The town of Gray Hollow watched as a ghost finally received a name and a fate. But even with a verdict, questions remain. Why were early warnings ignored? How many cases like this slip through cracks created by assumption and complacency? Daniel's story became more than a crime. It became a lesson. A reminder that disappearance does not mean escape. That silence can be engineered. That time does not erase truth, it only buries it deeper. True crime stories like this one live in dark case files not because they are forgotten, but because they wait. Tonight, as you listen to this crime story, remember that some mysteries survive decades in the dark, watching, waiting for someone to look closer. Daniel Harper vanished without a trace. But the truth never truly disappeared. It was only hidden, counting the years. This is Dark Case Files, where shadows speak and silence tells its own story. So now the question is yours to answer. Do you believe justice delayed is still justice? Or do some crimes leave scars that time can never heal? If this true crime story kept you watching, thinking, questioning, make sure to subscribe to Dark Case Files, because the next dark case file is already waiting to be opened.